Hi, good evening, guys. As usual, give us 20 seconds to check everything is fine. There are lesser participants here today, but my internet connection was a little wonky towards the afternoon today. So let me just check if everything is fine. Okay. Now, one of the biggest challenges that people face whenever they're taking up any task is doing it again and again and again and again. I mean, the first time you have a charm, you have a lot of motivation, etc. One of the reasons why champions like Federer, Messi, all these people are renowned world over is because they keep on doing the same thing. They have the motivation to come back again the very next year and do it all over again, starting from zero. So it's not an exact comparison over here. So we are looking at people who take up cat every year. uh, the percentiles have been out for I think it started from 2002 or 2003 onwards. So we have about 15, 16 years of 100 percentilers which have started off. So we will basically look at a couple of people who take up exams every year and score 100 percentile or very close to that, and see what are the problems that they face, or whether their actual 100 percentile is real or not. I mean, I had warned them that it might be a little bit of a ragging session beforehand. I mean, I have never scored a 100 percentile, but I don't think I will ever score a 100 percentile. But I would really like to pick the brains of people who actually did that. So we have two of our regulars over here. First one is Rajesh. He's from 2IIM. You know him from his Quora articles and all the Calvin and Hobbes posters which he puts up in all those things. Please do look at his Quora profile. It's available. 2IIM courses are also available. Welcome, Rajesh.
Thank you, Vivek.
Yeah. Yeah. Second one is Shashank. Shashank is like one of those good boys in school. He actually writes every single exam. Last week, we were actually stunned. I mean, he was prepared with every single question. He had come with all the answers. And he writes at least 3 or 4 exams every year and usually scores 100 percentile in 2 or 3 of them. So Learning Roots is his academy. Please do have a look at his courses as well. The links are available. You can also look at his Quora profile. Shashank confessed that he had stopped writing on Quora for some time, and then he's back again because suddenly he's got that motivation back. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I just wrote something controversial, by the way, on Quora.
Okay. Good. Yeah, so we'll start off with something which is pretty straightforward over here. Now, there is a lot of pressure as an aspirant, when you write CAT. 100 percentile at that point, or getting a call at that point, is really a big deal. I'm not, I'm not degrading anyone's efforts over here. But from my personal experience, when I wrote CAT after I had started coaching institute, I realized that I was just doing it for the fun of it. Okay, the pressure on me was much lesser. My aim was probably to get a 99 plus or something like that. I mean, that's about it. But I can personally tell you that the pressure on me was much lesser to achieve a call, because whether I do it or not, I didn't have a skin in the game, except for probably some marketing purposes. So we'll start with Rajesh first. Rajesh, you also took CAT after like 9 years after you did. I mean, I think 2001 is where you took the CAT. 2000,
Yeah,
you
2000 is when I took the CAT.
And then you came back again, you worked, and then 10 years later, you took it up again. And
Correct.
So how was it like? I mean, versus the first time to the 2010, the first attempt as such.
The point is right. There's no pressure in taking the CAT as a trainer. At least it's not much pressure. It's a 3-hour intense exam. We're much as we try to dial down, we are kind of mildly competitive animals. So we want to do well. And we want to say, look, I can take this exam. So let me throw my hat into the ring and see how this goes. The reason why we take it is to stay in touch, so that we understand the pedagogy, we know what to teach, how to teach, see that we can pick up some subtle hints about the paper. I've noticed that if you take the paper seriously, you get a hang of what probably the IIMs are trying to do. rather than if you take it casually. So if I throw 3 hours intensely about the exam, I might not remember questions and patterns and this and that, but I come off feeling, okay, I get the hang of this exam. And that's very important because we change our pedagogy, the way we teach, all of that. At a personal level, it's just one fun exercise the brain for 3 hours, so that you push yourself hard and see where you stand. Nothing more than that. It's like doing a crossword puzzle or a high quality Olympiad math problem or whatever gives you the kicks.
Okay. I can tell you from my experience, one of the reasons why I took CAT again after so many years was basically the CAT stopped publishing the paper. I mean, it went online, and the only one I could rely on was the students telling me, like, this is what had come in the exam. So I just wanted to have a feel of what was it, and that was roughly it. But Shashank has a very interesting story. Okay, now Shashank, I will take about a minute to basically recap. I mean, Shashank actually had a JB rank, I mean, Maharashtra CT rank 1 when he first gave all these things. Then he decided not to pursue. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyways. Then you actually went and worked with Pagal Guy for about a year. You basically smashed every single exam. You smashed all the mocks over there. But CAT basically got screwed up, right? And you actually joined FMS. They had a separate test that year. And next year, you actually gave CAT again and scored 100 percentile. So tell us about, was it like a revenge on CAT? What exactly was it?
See, it looks like that. As in, it's fun to put it that way. People really like listening to these kind of stories. But I don't know. As in, I found it very difficult to put into words. But I came across this interview of Abhinav Bindra a few days back, and he said a very nice thing that. So basically, he was asked what was the most special medal that you have got, and he said that it was some district competition which he had won for the first time. It was not exactly the Olympic gold medal or the ones that he got there. So the quote basically was, the first time it is your desire, the next time you get it, it's your greed basically. So, of course, whenever someone starts their journey and if you realize somewhere down the line that you are sort of a good candidate, probably should see yourself in the at least the 99 percentile bracket. And unfortunately, or because of whatever reason, things happen. You sort of feel bad about that. So my thing was, the first time I took it, I took it as a not as an aspirant. I didn't take it as a faculty member. I was somewhere in between, so it was sort of personal. I have not been able to replicate that performance ever since because of whatever reason. But yeah, as in, I took it just for the sake of kicks. I take it every year because I generally don't tend to rely on others' take when it comes to CAT. I cannot really trust someone when someone says that verbal was difficult or quant was difficult. I have to see it on for myself,
Perfectly fair. Yeah.
right or wrong. And of course, I take it seriously because, as Rajesh pointed out, right, I'm extremely competitive. Even if I'm playing a simple game on my phone, even if I'm playing something like, say, a Clash Royale game, I'm like uber competitive. I will not give up. I will practice very hard for it. I have to get better at whatever I do. So that has been inherently been the case. So of course, once a year you get to participate with 2 lakh aspirants, have to prove it real time without a lot of preparation as such. Of course, you teach, you prepare, but without a lot of preparation as such, it's a very adrenaline inducing sort of a journey. So it's just for the sake of that, I think.
Okay,
some people take up long distance running, but you need to train for 6 months and you need to be alone with yourself and take it seriously. Sab nahi hota. Poor man's marathon.
Okay. I'll start the next one with Shashank. See, what we have seen is, given that you had 100 percentile, so many 100%. I mean, 100 percentile is basically it's a rounding of error, as we all know. Right? I mean, there are people who have written, I mean, initially there were like 1200 percentiles, then it went to 10, then it went to 8, and suddenly they were scared. So they actually rounded down instead of rounding up. So now you have 18, 19, 20, 100 percentilers. I mean, at what stage is it like this is purely, because what we have seen is that last 2 or 3 years of the 100 percentilers who actually have given up taken up 100 percentile slots, about 6 to 7 are basically either people who are like you or who are planning to be somebody like you. So what will you say about that?
See,
I mean, like, there is Scrabbler, there is you, there is Patrick, there is Rajesh, I mean, Avidipto gave twice, both the time 100 percentile. I'm not sure what he's doing. Actually, he said like he just did it for fun. Uh, I don't know. I mean, like, and then there are people who take up 100 percentile and end up joining the industry. So, what exactly is going on? I mean, it's like a shot at glory. I mean, are people treating it like that? Is that what people are looking at?
Yeah, it's basically it qualifies you in some manner that you are at the top of the population, and it used to happen earlier, and it still happens in a lot of cases that there is an element of luck involved. One or two things will go your way. You will have those two aha moments during the test, wherein even if you go wrong, you are right. Basically, you take half chances, and basically you are doing really well. A couple of DI sets that you have started with, they end up getting solved very quickly. The first case that you take, you end up doing that. So it happens. Of course, it's not a significant percentage, is what I believe. But from my thing, beyond 99.8, beyond 99.9 percentile, there is a slight factor of being at your optimum, being in the optimum frame of mind on the day of the test, or sort of being sort of lucky when it comes to those half chances from a candidate's perspective. Of course, people who score 100 percentile, as in Scrabbler, for example, or even Patrick, or even Rajesh, for example, once you do it multiple times, you are sort of, it's a proven fact that you are among the top 10, 5 people who take it every year. Yeah, and unless there will of course come a time when a lot of people will enter that zone and a lot of people will be good at it. But of course, that is sort of a certificate that you sort of get, that you are at the absolute top of your craft. You know whatever you're talking about, you know whatever you're doing, and it sort of qualifies you in a way. So, of course, I think that's something that is probably more important. Getting calls and everything, you can get a call at 99.8, 99.9 as well. So I don't think that getting a call is the objective of someone who aims for 100 percentile. It's purely a matter of proving yourself in that high pressure environment.
Okay. Rajesh, your views. I mean, Shashank said that, I mean, there is an element of luck beyond a 99.9.
Oh, definitely. I mean, okay. I would definitely, no doubt about it. I would it'd be wrong if I said, "Oh, luck or nahi hai, totally, I deserve this." So obviously, there's some luck involved in this. This is, I would say, to put it slightly differently, there are probably 25, 30 guys who have probably 50 guys who have a shot at this. Some 10 get lucky each year. That's how it is. In terms of why you do it, it's more for, it's an adrenaline kick in one sense, and then you want to test yourself. How much it conveys, I think about 3-4 years ago, it used to be a big deal. Now it is less so. And I think even as an honest metric, the guy who cracks the exam need not necessarily be the guy who teaches well.
That's perfectly true.
And vice versa. So I've seen lots of guys who can't crack this exam for nuts, but they're fabulous teachers. And I know the other way around as well. So it's a good starting point. You know at least that this guy knows his stuff. So then you say, okay, he knows his stuff. Now let me see if he can teach as well. Okay. And that evaluation comes. And so people feel that, okay, this guy knows his stuff. Let me now listen to what he's got to say. And then you prove yourself as a teacher, then you can be a teacher. But I don't think there is a huge correlation. It's a good starting point. It's a good starting point to have. So there are guys who have taken this exam, who take this seriously, who want to give it a go every year. Then I know that this guy is bought into the idea of teaching and preparing and engaging with students for this exam. He's not a fly-by-night operator who's just there and he's just running away. So there is that degree of trust I have when I start to evaluate. But it'd be very silly of students if they just said, "Oh, okay, 100%, so iska to course acha yoga." That doesn't work.
I have a cross question on this. Okay, I mean, and this comes out from the fact that I mean, I watch a lot of football and I love England getting knocked out on penalties. So there was always a time where they actually used to practice penalty kicks, right? Because inevitably that's how they used to get out of in all tournaments. And then one year they said that, okay, we are anyways getting out. We are anyways getting out, and anyways we cannot put the same pressure as such as a real life situation. So do you actually consider that this is a real life situation pressure? I mean, for your self evaluation,
No.
And I will come down to the second part of my question, because you're not going to be able to, I mean, both of you roughly agreed, I'm not saying 100%, but you guys roughly agreed that it is not the same pressure that a normal candidate faces. Now, given that scenario, I would like to go to the second part, because it's you guys are doing it purely on self-evaluation basis. Aren't sometimes, because there are some IIMs which give a call in spite of all those academic ratings. I know IIM Bangalore used to do it for at least 2-3 years ago. Even now, I think if you score a overall 100 percentile, and I think even IIM Ahmedabad, if you score a 100 percentile overall, basically you will get a call, if I'm not mistaken. So aren't you guys actually taking away some of the seats which would have, or some of the calls as such? I'll start with Rajesh.
First things first. On this thing of your first part of your question was effectively, if you're taking this exam, is this a proxy for good testing under pressure? It's not. Even for the guys who take it very seriously and crack CAT, the best thing I can infer from that is these guys are very good and capable of cracking CAT. That's all it means. So any other inference is a signal. So I don't think just because I've managed to prepare for CAT and score well, that means gives any indication of how I can work under pressure. I don't think that's a heavy parallel. This is my job. I train students for a living, so I understand this paper and I train myself well for this. So that means I throw everything into that 3 hours, and I'm serious and sincere and honest about this. And it's up to people to evaluate whether I can translate that whatever I have in terms of ability to crack this exam into ability for training people to do this. So that's just one part. So the big evaluation now is the second part, and that's for people to do. It conveys that I can crack this exam. I'll be very peeved if anyone makes an inference beyond anything beyond that. They can just go and evaluate and say, this is a good teacher as well. And then if somebody says, ye to crack kar leta hai, he must be immense under pressure, and then they give me ask me to work in a different context, I might struggle. I may be good, but I might struggle. This is not giving me any information about that thing. So I wouldn't want to draw that parallel. On the second issue of, are you taking away somebody's seat? There's so many seats, so many people get in. Nobody is taking it. If I join IIM Ahmedabad, I'm taking one person's seat. If I'm not joining IIM Ahmedabad, I'm not taking anybody's seat. Are you depriving somebody of a call? I'm not. If I applied for IIM Ahmedabad, then there is a chance that I might deprive one person of a call. I don't know how much a call means, because the number of seats is the same. 99% of the guys who take CAT for fun don't apply to any college. So you're not depriving anybody of a legitimate seat for sure, because you don't apply to the college. You're not depriving anybody of a call, because if IIM Ahmedabad wants to call 600 top candidates, they're going to call 600 top candidates, and either you or Shashank or me or Scrabbler or anyone, you're not going to feature in that 600 because you have not applied to the college. Right? I'll say IIM Ahmedabad will be brought down a notch. They'll see, okay, the 5 guys have got 100%, not one has managed even cared about applying to my college. What does it tell about Ahmedabad? So they may tone down. But jokes apart, I don't think there is any real impact. All this chatter is just another. It's like what our media does. We fill airwaves. So apne danda ka airwaves is this. So you talk about what is the hypothetical scenario that one guy, the final guy who might have gotten because of this, some notional idea, he gets deprived of a call, and what if he turned out to be the guy who could have transformed business India, and because one guy took it for fun, this is too much of a stretch. There's absolutely no impact anywhere. The guys who take this exam, they're at worst, they're junkies. They don't have anything better to do with their life than spend 3 hours measuring that. That's hardly a crime. It has no material impact on anybody's chances.
Okay. Shashank, you have written an article on this. I mean, please go and look at Pagal Guy. Shashank actually wrote an article saying that trying to analyze whether they take away the seats or chances of the candidates. What is your view on it?
Yeah, so the article it came out way back in 2010. So I don't know. As in, the context is similar. It's not very different from what happens now. Of course, there were certain subtleties that have changed because of sectional. People who used to go and attempt only one section and come back, those used to affect people's chances. So that was a different context. Now, though, that has reduced by a lot. But the point was, again, it's a fair fight at the end of the day. Even the institutes know it. I'm pretty sure that the IIMs are cognizant of the fact that a lot of people take it for just having a bit of fun in those 3 years, just trying to challenge themselves, pit themselves against the other people. So even they know it. IIM Bangalore has written that they might call people with 100 percentile the top 10 people who are there in
section, yeah.
but they have also written a paragraph below that saying that they don't value CAT scores as much as they value consistent academics. So they have given it explicitly in the PDF. So I'm pretty sure that if at a point in time they feel that they are not really getting a lot of good 100 percentiles, they might bring the bar down to 99.99. It's as simple as that. Now they feel that out of the 500 percentiles that they might interview, they might get one good candidate. So I think that's fair on their part. If somewhere they feel that people are eating into others' chances, or if it's not a fair fight anymore, they might relax the criteria by a bit. So whatever works for the institute, they are sticking to it. As simple as that. Now people will always find ways of feeling victimized. Engineers feel that non-engineers get all the good opportunities.
Yeah.
Non-engineers feel that engineers have a quantitative ability advantage. People who are from general categories feel other things about people who come from reserved categories. There is a lot of things that go on. My point is, you need one seat in that institute. You have to worry about that one seat. If you are good enough to get that one seat in that institute, you should be fine with it. You should not worry about 20 seats that exist in the institute, because end of the day, you are only one candidate. So I have always been clear about that. I'm indifferent to the criteria and everything. So I don't really, it doesn't matter to me what the criteria is or what happens. I've been hearing this all my life. I have wasted one medical seat, one MBA seat, one job at Pagal Guy, one job at ITC probably. I've been wasting things all my life, but yeah, there has been no competitor who can.
I mean, it's up to it's your life. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I mean, you earned it. It's not like it was given to you on a platter. You earned it.
So it's a fair fight end of the day. I can also talk about 10 things that I have not got in my life. So it does not work that way.
Okay, I'll use the same article and try to beat it with you. I mean, you actually had suggested like there was somebody who actually does not tick mark any of the answers. I mean, he attempts the paper. I mean, he looks at the paper and he claims that I do not mark the answer, or I basically mark it wrongly, if I'm not mistaken. And there are people, I mean, I think Gautam Puri from CL does it. He actually said like with a 0, you can get a 55 percentile or something like that. I'm not sure whether it was true, but that's exactly what is there. And why, I mean, why do you not do it? Or is that also because I can get 100? That's why I will get 100.
No, it's a part of my psyche. End of the day, I have to answer myself. I have to answer 10 people, but I have to answer myself the first. So I cannot justify it to myself saying that I went to a test, I did not perform. I could have got 100 percentile, but I didn't, because I sort of had it in my mind that I will not attempt anything and I will make it a fair fight sort of a thing. Then it's not a fair fight in the first place.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, I cannot convince myself that bit. The other thing that really sort of views me is a lot of people claim that they are CAT toppers, and it's a very ambiguous word, right? You can say CAT toppers for anyone who scores even 51 percentile. You can say that he has beaten
half the population.
So it's a widely misused, misunderstood, misrepresented sort of a term, and I am doing my bit to kill that part. So if I become sort of a topper, or I come somewhere close to that thing, I'm essentially squashing one such topper or one such misclaim that can exist. So I'm doing my bit to do that. But again, as in, it's not something which I'm very happy about. But of course, that is at the back of my mind that I have to prove it, that I can do it year on year, year after year after year, in spite of whatever changes, whatever happens, whoever takes the test, still you have to do well.
Okay.
And of course, one disclaimer: I haven't eaten into the chance of any candidates because I have not scored as well as I used to when I was a serious candidate. So I don't know why that happens, or it might change in the future. But yeah,
I probably have an answer to that. Let's just discuss once. Let's get Rajesh's views on it. I mean, Rajesh, why don't you just leave the paper? You also, it's like too much, too enticing.
No, I take the exam to know kind of where I stand, what I do, to see whether it is fun. So it's like the reason I'm taking it for is for the thrill of it, for the ride of it, to see where it is. So crazier analogies come up to my mind to describe
Go
how
ahead, go ahead, go
it
ahead,
should
do
be.
it. And
It's like a pastor saying,
I was actually thinking of certain things to speak about. I mean, write about before we do this. I mean, I was like, the one thing which I thought about was, I mean, when your kids, boys fight about toys that they have. I mean, I have the better toy, I have a shinier toy. They fight about cars, etc. I mean, like this is like my better car over here.
yeah.
Is it like that
For whom?
for
For
you
the
guys?
I don't know whether it is that serious. Even if you have seen
Okay.
kids fight with cars, they're very serious about it.
Yeah, or a better phone or something
Correct.
like that.
This is more like a 3 hour personal thing. Obviously, this gives you some sort of bragging rights that run for a week or two. So therefore, the bragging right come with territory. That's such is life. I'm not saying I'm above bragging rights. We put it on our website, and there are PDFs available of scores because people don't trust it. We put it out there, so it's not a secret. So therefore, there are some obvious bragging right to do attached to it, but it's a 3 hour kick thing. It's nothing more than that. I don't think it is anyone. I don't think we evaluated that much and see, okay, this is why exactly why we do this, what we gain from it materially. These are the pros and cons and pluses and minuses. It's a 3 hour kick thing. There are no visible, clear negatives. Why should we not go for it? That's about it.
Okay. Now coming to the kick part of it. I mean, you run an institute which is not a franchisee of a large part. I mean, you run an independent sort of an institute. And have you faced a case where if you did not score 100 percentile, you in that particular year, you actually lost out some market share or from your side? I mean, or is that the reason why you actually went into it to eat into the market share when you started off taking it for the first time?
I don't think it has made a bhanker difference. We've always said, please evaluate our course, give it a go. The 100 percentile thing, the first time we had it more people come through the door.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, at least open the door for more people. I mean, conversion is a
Correct.
completely
Correct. So we open the door for. To be honest, even that is not materially higher. Brand building takes a while. How well you teach, how well you engage, how well you mentor, how well you are present on multiple platforms, all those things matter. The most people who look at the 100 percentile thing, it's like, yeah, you might want to take your news from Hindu and Times of India and Economist, but you go to a Green Trends or a Natural Salon or sit outside, you want to flip through Cine Blitz and Stardust. Let me see Hrithik Roshan kiske saath hai. Just check it out. So the 100 percentile thing is that or one notch lower. It's like one gossip point. Yeah, exam ho gaya. Let me see which are the top guys have. What are the top 15 guys got? Who are they? What are they up to? Oh, is it the same guy? Oh, main to socha tha ye isko aayega hi. And then that's about it. So I don't think it's a material factor for people taking a decision on where they're going to coach. I think people are smart. People say, okay, so this guy knows how to crack exam. So that is 10% criteria met. Baki 90%, let me evaluate and see what's happening. There, the brand and your record, what that starts playing a role. And the bigger brands, they're big. So if Time and Career Launcher can say 6 of my students have got 100 percentile, then that's a bigger deal than one teacher getting 100 percentile. So therefore it's not such a big talking point. I always say you want to join 2IIM, you need to evaluate how well I teach. You have nothing to do with how well I write the exam. So you evaluate and you take a decision based on that. I don't year on year swing based on 100 percentile or not. I've not noticed it at all.
Okay. One reason why I took up was, I mean, I can relate to what you said. I mean, when I started off, I mean, we had, decent presence with Time as such. But the biggest problem that we faced was in BITS Goa, where you had superstar faculty members who came and taught. So, I mean, the only way, I mean, they actually said that you are not studied in IIM, you are not got 100 percentile. The first year, we had quite a few, again, interest, but not a lot of conversion. So next year I actually took CAT just to make sure that I have some marketing points. So Shashank, did you face something like that when you did that, or because you already had 100%, it was easier for you to start off over there?
I was sort of in that in-between phase wherein people looked at it as sort of an aspirant. That got a lot of buzz. Even now, if you look at it, the number of followers I have or the number of friends I have on Facebook or whatever, LinkedIn contacts, I would attribute it to that 100% is what I feel. If that would not have happened, then the buzz would not have been generated. But after that, when I have been taking it for 3 years now, since I started learning roots. But it has never been the case that because you score X percentile, why people will turn up. It is never like that, to be very honest. Of course, a few people will look at whatever has happened and they will sort of be interested, but it does not happen that someone was absolutely unaware of us and then that person translated into sort of a lead. That does not happen. They would have heard of us, they might not have heard, they would have heard two things about us, they might not have heard the third thing. Something on those lines. So that is the third thing that the percentile that I get. That's purely pretty much about it. It has got no correlation whatsoever with the business angle that exists. But yeah.
Okay. Now you had actually mentioned that you were not able to achieve that 100 percentile. I mean, or at least not the same level of motivation to write that exam fully, right? I mean, or the level of you were not in the zone, so to speak.
Yep.
I mean, I have a theory as such. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm sure I can speak with Rajesh also later on when the same thing happens. What I noticed was that as I was teaching more and more and more, the moment I saw questions, especially the questions which were in my area of interest, I actually started analyzing the question like, okay, this is the way it is. So I actually started seeing that if I have to solve it in a class, how would I actually start doing it? So it actually slowed me down. I mean, when I actually got that IMA call, my English score was actually higher than my math score. I had slowed down in maths, whereas my English score was the one which actually saved me. I mean, have you seen something like that, a degradation of your score or something like that?
Not really. As in, see, what happens is it's mostly what happens on that day. There's nothing more to it. I take it with the same amount of seriousness, the same amount of motivation that I did when I was an aspirant. I did not used to take a lot of pressure even back then, to be very honest. It was never the case that if I don't get it into IMA, it's a do or die situation for me. It was never the case. It's still not the case. Of course, I feel bad after the test is done, after the results are out, that I could have done things a bit more differently. That's what I advise to the students as well. From my personal experience, I solved this one question incorrectly. I should have probably looked at these aspects instead of the other aspects that I looked at. So that's pretty much my learning from the test. Pressure-wise, it's nothing. There are external pressures beyond CAT, beyond whatever personal issues, business issues, whatever be the case. So those are always there. That for me plays a bigger role than what happens in the tests. I've always been particular about solving questions in a nice way. As in, I could probably show you my IFT paper, but the point is I write neat solutions everywhere during the test as well. So I have always been used to that thing. I will never skip steps, never use shortcuts and those kind of things. So that has always been the way in which I do it. So that has not changed at all.
Okay, Rajesh, what about you? Have you?
No. Actually, it has been no degradation. I think I used to subscribe to this myth that as you go older, you become slower.
I'm not saying slower. I'm not saying slower. I mean, my aim was not slower. I'm not saying slower. My thing was the moment you see a question, because you're so accustomed to teaching it in a class, not only are you can answer it, but your mind actually starts getting distracted because you actually start ways of explaining it rather than.
Pata nahi. I actually thought when I started teaching my the consolidation was better. So
No, it's better. I'm saying, but if you like, I mean, I actually noticed this in one of the ZAT papers. I think it was ZAT 2011 or 2012. I was basically not able to concentrate because, I mean, first of all, the ZAT papers are very beautifully made. I mean, the questions are very beautifully made. They actually interest you. Probably I was very distracted in that particular year, but that's what I really felt like. I mean, my scores really fell down because
I haven't seen that. I see where you're coming from, but in exam mode, I'm in student mode. I go for the challenge. So I look for a question and say, because I work a lot on content and I do a lot of reading to create new content for the school product and all of those things. So I like the idea of kind of intellectually agonizing over some concept and isolating it and creating questions and all that. So to me, the exam is a getaway. So I go bang, solving, and I go for the cracking part, and I don't pause to evaluate during the exam. Hopefully, I won't start because I've heard you mention it this time.
Sorry. Okay. I heard that you have, I mean, you yourself said that you don't take a lot of mocks. I mean, some of the 2IIM mocks you take like a live mock as such, but other than that, your preparation practically is zero. I mean, like, and
Correct.
do you have like a brush through over the last minute, last day, last week, or something like that? Do you have like a sequence which you know you are going to go through, or like how do you approach the exam?
I work a lot on geeing myself up and being intense, but I don't do much knowledge achieving kind of preparation. I teach quantity, I add some part of verbal also. So the content part, I'm in touch throughout. I build a lot of content for school products that we build. So I do a lot of reading and content creation. So I'm on top of the detail. The exam taking part, sometimes I don't know, this is also counterintuitive perhaps. If I do a mock after a break, that's when I'm at my most intense.
Okay.
So therefore, I like it to be the real thing. Okay. So if I take a mock, it should be at least a month and a half, 2 before CAT.
Okay.
So I'm just waiting to go berserk.
Shashank, what about you? You take mocks, any strategy? I mean, you get into the mode like last 1 week, sit for about a week. I mean, for like 3 hours in a place or something like that. I mean, I think you're a doctor, you don't smoke. I mean, for me, it was the biggest problem was getting away and stop smoking for like 3 hours. I mean, like that was the biggest challenge as such. What exactly do you do?
No, so what happened is when I started this thing, Learning Roots, that was 2015. And I hadn't taken CAT for 3 years then. So I had no idea what is happening with CAT and what exactly is the pattern and everything. And it changed that year. 2015 was the one that we are seeing right now. 15, 16, 17. So during 15, I was like really serious about prep. I could afford that because it was the first year of business. So our business was not really booming, to be very honest. So I had a lot of time on hand to prepare content, both for the business as well as for myself. I used to take a lot of free mocks back then. I hadn't bought anything, purchased anything, but I used to take the usual free mocks that exist. All your bullseye and crack you and everything that was free at that time. So at that point in time, I used to take it seriously. I took some 20 odd mocks with utmost seriousness without going anywhere, booking slots, everything. But after that, I haven't really taken any mock, to be very honest. So I don't take any mocks because 3 hours at one place is slightly difficult to manage, considering that you are handling so many things at once.
Yeah, 3 hours in one place is very difficult.
It's very difficult. And again, so that's something that I don't do. My only preparation is what I teach. And again, I would have mentioned it earlier as well, right? So in the earlier sessions. So there are a lot of new things that I learn every year that improves my range. Now, coming back to the question that you had asked, as in, of course, it creates a bit of confusion if you know too many things about a topic. But again, it's manageable. Again, that's a part of your decision-making process. So that does not affect. But yeah, no ritual as such. I simply wake up, go to the test, go to the center, take the test, come back. It's a normal day.
Okay. We have okay. I mean, I've gone through all the questions which we had, but there is couple of questions which have come up very clearly, and this pertains both of you because you guys have scored this 100 percentile. Accuracy versus speed. I mean, like there are people who say you should attempt all the 50, 60, 70. We have dealt with in individual parts, but roughly, what is the accuracy range? I mean, I know after 99, 90. 99 to 100, I mean, if your accuracy goes down, it's a little difficult to get up to speed. I mean, get the scores as such because it really hurts you. What is your take on it? Accuracy.
Should I go first?
Yeah, Shashank first and then
Okay. So again, accuracy versus speed, you have to get that score at the end of the day. So my benchmark was in the written test 2007, 2008 at that point in time. 40% of the total score used to be good enough for a sort of a 98 percentile, 1 or 2 IIM calls. 50% used to be at the 99th percentile, 60% used to be the 100 percentile. It has gone up by sort of 10%, each bracket has gone up. So one has to figure accordingly as to what exactly is the comfort zone. For me personally, it's about speed. The more you attempt, the better your chances. So on a good day, you will end up hitting really well. Or hitting a really huge score. That is always, but it's more of hope, to be very honest. Might not happen every day. But yeah, generally people start with accuracy. I would generally suggest people to go for accuracy first. Build that base. Even on a bad day, you know that you are going to score a good amount of marks or whatever the ones that will at least get you a few calls. and then build on your speed, because it's easier to get habituated to solving questions a bit more carefully than it is to solve as in more questions. So start with accuracy, build your speed as it goes, and don't ever aim for the 100 percentile. That's my like purest suggestion.
Rajesh, your words. I mean, like you have a completely. I mean, accuracy is what you.
Correct.
swear
I
by.
honestly believe that there is no trade-off. I think a lot of people get what Shashank is saying is spot on. Accuracy first, and then speed.
And probably calculated guesses. Is that
correct?
what you're
Correct. So I think very often people jump in and taking these chances with their attempts without having a clear sense of what the calculated guess means. If you attempt quant and your accuracy is 80%, then you're just shooting in the dark. You're like a blindfolded guy with a big machine gun in your hand. And you attempt 30 questions and you get 6 of them wrong. Let me do a simple math. Let's assume that your wild guesses worked half the time. You get 6 wrong. That means you're punted on 12 questions. That's how I would do the math. So you attempt 30 and you're punted on 12 questions. You've attempted 18 correctly. You're just wasting your time. You should attempt those 18 and get out of the paper. You'll be a rock star.
Because I mean, you don't know that I'm going to deliberately get 3 wrong, right? I mean, you don't know which questions I'm going to get wrong. That's the point of accuracy, anyways. It's a post-mortem thing, right?
Correct, but people believe that accuracy and speed are trade-off variables. What that makes them think is, very honestly, it makes them believe that number of attempts is one variable they have which can directly govern score. And therefore, you get 90th percentile consistently attempting 60 questions. You say, okay, so now I'll attempt 70. You can attempt 100. That is not an independent variable. So it's so the gut instinct is to crank up your attempts. And there's a subliminal force that's continuously pushing you to try and attempt more. Because you feel that the guy who's got a higher percentile has attempted more than you. And therefore, you want to attempt more, because you've got to have a chance to be there. But then you're continuously cranking up the risk. Anybody can attempt any number of questions. You can go in and say, I'll attempt, but you cannot attempt more than 100. That's the only constraint, pretty much. So the trade-off, I don't think enough students appreciate what exactly the trade-off is. So they think, okay, I can sacrifice accuracy, I'll attempt more. More of what? You're looking at a quant question, you solve it, you get an answer which says 33. It doesn't match with any of the 4 choices. Don't click. You can click and have one more attempt, and you cannot click and not have that attempt. I don't see how speed is that much of a metric that is in your control. To me, honestly speaking, I have those 1 in 2 slightly dicey things, 0 of them in quant, 0 of them in DILR, and of 34 questions in verbal. The theta, though, leave theta aside. So the remaining 24, 25, I have this really dicey B out of C. I have to go with my gut for 3 questions. I'm feeling really good, I'll punt on those 3. If I'm feeling very odd, I'll leave all 3. But this is not a metric as much in people's control as they believe.
That's definitely, that's yeah. I mean, it's especially in verbal. I mean, Shashank has also discussed this. I mean, it's not very easy to know when you're going wrong, especially in those days. Okay. The biggest advice that you can do is like, these are trained professionals. Don't try this at home. I mean, all those disclaimers that you get from all those adventure videos, don't try it at home. But what you can definitely take it out is they have always bet on accuracy. And as Shashank said, it's first start with accuracy and then you can build speed. It's difficult the other way around. To do it. I mean, it's not impossible. Obviously, everything is possible. We are all human beings. We are capable of doing a lot more than anything's possible. But that's about it. Thanks, guys, for joining in. I will like to really thank Rajesh and Shashank. I mean, it's very difficult for people to actually speak honestly about their 100 percentiles and the fact that it's like somebody saying that, okay. It's not a big deal. I mean, for them, they actually accepted the challenges that they face, some of the pressures that they actually get through, and eventually they're still competitive. I mean, they might be veterans, so to speak, but they're ultra competitive, and I think that's what drives everyone forward as such. Thank you for joining in.
That was one thing. So generally what happens is when people form opinions, it's basically so there is this line that goes, we judge ourselves by our intentions and others by their actions. So people look at it as a victim complex sort of a thing, but it's not really that big a deal, to be very honest.
Okay. Good night, guys. We have put up the links of all the resources that we are there. Shashank and Rajesh have also given me certain other links. I will update it in a few minutes time about their articles as such. Please do follow them on Quora. Please do look at their courses as such, what they're doing. And please do subscribe to this channel, share it with your friends. Good night, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. See you.